StockMiner.com studios here in the Black Hills of South Dakota. I'm your Stockminer Brian Johnson, and welcome to the after 4th of July video. I haven't done one here in a while, but want to catch you guys up. We didn't see much motion today coming off of the 4th of July holiday. But last week we did start to see the bulls come back to town, and in a big way. I mean, they really pushed this thing hard to the upside. Now we tend to be flattening out. Looks like we're finishing or working on some sort of a small little gradual climb to the upside. I'm actually looking for some sort of a pullback or maybe a high base in this area where things are going to rest for a little while, maybe a day or two. We could certainly see we didn't see much today. We'll see kind of more of that tomorrow. Be interesting to see if we get more of that tomorrow. And the reason for that is in the morning we get the job numbers. It's the first Friday of the month. Job numbers are released 8:30 Eastern Time. So you want to be very cautious of those numbers and see what kind of a reaction the market has to them. There might be an immediate reaction where the markets climb very rapidly or fall very suddenly, whatever the case might be. What I really am more focused on is where do we go later on in the day, half an hour after the job numbers come out. What's the focus? Where's the mindset? How are the investors digesting this news? Was it bad news and we're dropping? Is it good news and we're going up? Was it bad news and we're going up? That type of stuff. I want to digest that type of information. So watch those job numbers carefully tomorrow to get an idea, maybe an overall view of where the market's at psychologically wise. I mean, do they really care about the job numbers at this point, or are they more concerned with other things coming up? That's really kind of my focus with this tomorrow. So with that being said, it has to push back above this major 13,000 area. Something back below like 12.8. I think we're kind of bouncing in an area of about 200 points. Those are going to be your motions. That's going to be your place to be looking for long or short positions in and above here, below here. Keep in mind it's Friday. We usually get about an hour or two of really good trading before it dies down. And be careful, of course, holding into a weekend. You just never know what news is going to come out that will change the market view come Monday morning. However, at the same time, if you're a day trader, certainly something to be watching, one of these two levels. If you're an investment trader, there's good things to be watched out there. We've been watching Apple very closely in the subscribers newsletter. By the way, in the subscribers newsletter, we watch Apple every day. I always have Apple on the chart, along with other stocks to watch. We go over all the indices, including the Russells. If you guys like Russells, we cover gold, we cover oil. So there's a lot more in the subscribers section. But I've really been watching Apple closely and caught a beautiful move back above 590, which I've been just preaching to my subscribers about watching very closely for the last, a long time. Last few weeks, I would think. 590 and 600 were our entries to the upside, but the catch of 590 was where the really strongest move was at, and today it was up again well over 600, so it's paying off very, very well. Now with that, Apple has been moving the NASDAQ. It's been a very strong player lately as it kind of moves itself back into these upper overhead areas of resistance. Now it's a matter of, can we close the week here? Can we close here? Can we stay in this area of upper range? Even if the job numbers are bad tomorrow, what's going to happen? So that's once again the focus tomorrow. Back below here, back above there, that's where your moves are going to be best had. Same thing on the daily. Look at how we're just wandering sideways. We've seen this motion before. Up sideways, up sideways, up sideways, up sideways. A million times in the past back here. You don't have to go back very far. Go back a year and follow it. Same thing is now starting to happen, but we don't know yet. We don't have enough information here to tell us if it's going to continue in that way. So with that, I'm going to wait and also see what we get tomorrow. One more reason for my curiosity on this whole move, to see if we can actually hang around up here. Even if bad numbers come out, do we still hang around up here? As it is right now, we've got pushes to the upside, and we have been able to stay sideways. Still not enough information coming off of July 4th to really make any kind of a prediction, long or short, but watching that very closely. Now the NASDAQ came up into some overhead right around this 2660 area, so I would be expecting also a move sideways or a pullback or something tomorrow, but that could be, of course, all based on Apple and how strong or not strong that might end up being tomorrow. So with this being said, a huge push up in the NASDAQ. Was doing very well there for a while, but you can see dropped about 13 points into the end of the day to finish about break even. Still stronger than the rest of the indices, but pulling back pretty hard here into the end of the day. I think everything's going to be now kind of waiting for these job numbers to be released in the morning. We'll see how that goes for the markets. Into these lower areas here, 2600 is something to really be watching. Into these lower areas here, now maybe there's something a little bit bigger going on, a deeper pullback, some sort of a move down is coming. That's where you want to be watching the NASDAQ. Back into these areas here. Pretty clear too on a daily, as you can see. Getting way back into here will put us close to these moving averages. So we want to watch and see if this area back here will hold on any kind of a push back to the downside. With that being said, I'm not a big shorter of the NASDAQ, but it's this area here that you want to be looking for that short position on the NASDAQ itself. Otherwise, if we can blow up and through these upper areas, that's take the long and run it up. 2700 is your next really big overhead area on the NASDAQ. Even if it wanders sideways, 2700 is still the place to be watching. From a weekly perspective too, you can see how we've gotten back above this 20-week moving average. I'm very curious to see if it'll actually close above this into tomorrow's weekend. SPX in a little bit of a consolidation. For those of you that like your technical analysis, you might identify that as a potential triangle up here. This was also, if you're an Elliott wave guy, triangle also makes sense to you as well. But we're looking to see if this area once again will move it sideways. Will the job numbers flush this thing down? 1350 being one of the bigger areas for the bulls to hold on any kind of a move to the downside. Really want to keep a close eye on that. If it can duck below it, but getting back above it by the end of the day, still strong for the bulls. As long as it'll hold that area by the time we end the day, that's the more important thing to watch. 1350 for your lower areas. For your lower areas on your short positions. If we can blow up and through this 80 area up here, that's where you look for your long positions. As the bulls, will run this thing up. They'll just keep taking it, especially if this is going to be the start of some new bigger move upwards. This is what we're going to see. Up, sideways, up, sideways, up, sideways. And it's just going to happen a little at a time. We're going to get a push here or a couple points there, and then sideways for a day or two, and then a few more, an 8-point, 10-point run to the upside. So you've got to be nimble. You got to be on your toes. Back up above these levels is where you want to take that shot for sure on the SPX. Now, the VIX has fallen all the way back down. I made mention of this last week that I fully expected it to drop back down into the complacency area, and sure enough, that's where we're at. Back into 18 puts us firmly in between this 15 and 20 point. Matter of fact, we're exactly in the middle of the 15 and the 20 area. Anything back above 20 means a little bit more fear. We should see some more downside action, but we are obviously done with that for at least the time being until this VIX starts to show us that the fear is coming back into the market. But right now, good complacency in the market as we sit sideways at 1750. Weekly looks good too. We had a couple of closes down inside of this complacency mark, and it looks like we're going to get the same tomorrow. FAS on a 60-minute looks very good for tomorrow. Potential little head and shoulders here. So job numbers could make all the difference here, guys. Below 89 and below 87, that's where you're looking at for any kind of a short opportunity on FAS. It'd have to blow up through the top of here before I'd get interested in a long, but those will be your short opportunities, and the daily shows the same thing. As you can see it resting here in anticipation of whatever that next move will be. Now, we had good volume on the day today, but overall the week has been down because of the 4th of July, of course, falling right in the middle of the week. Kind of an odd week for trading. And I don't know if a lot of investors are going to want to do a whole lot tomorrow either. So after the job numbers, expect some movement of some sort. I'm interested, as I said, to see if we get anything in the first 2.5 hours of the day, and then it might go stagnant there for a while. FAZ, from a 60-minute perspective, love it back above about, it's going to be right around 2275 or so for a long on this one. But this is looking like a potential inverse head and shoulders. So watch that number tomorrow. If we can get up above, I don't know, maybe 2350, we'd have to get maybe even higher than that for me to be interested in something to the long side. But this could be ready to push itself to the higher ends, maybe up into 2450. Ultimately, 2550 and 26 are where I'm aiming for on any hard push to the upside. But for the time being, I'm going to take it a piece at a time. Let's start with this 22.75 mark and see if we can even clear 22.75 or 23 to the long side. Those will be your entries for a long tomorrow on FAZ. The daily shows the same thing. Once again, 24.75 in this area here I love because of these moving averages sitting up here just waiting to smack down the price if it gets up and into this area. We break 21.50 and it still could be bombs away for FAZ. Could have a little bit more to go to the short side on that type of a note. So you have your entries FAS, FAZ. You have your ideas on where the markets are at right now and what I'm looking to see into tomorrow. It's all about sentiment, trader psychology at this point. I want to see if these will be in any way influenced, if you will, by good numbers, bad numbers, whatever. I want to see how the market digests this tomorrow and see if there's some sort of a change in play. A lot of times you can see that from the market sentiment as we get good news and the market drops, or we get bad news and the market rises. That kind of piques my interest when I see stuff like that. So we're looking to see if we get that kind of movement tomorrow. Otherwise, 4th is over. The week is all but done, really, and I'll be back with you again. I'm going to really try to do one there for you on Tuesday and catch you up on where we're at and where I see us going. We'll see if we get any movement between now and then. Otherwise, look for that high base. Look for the high base. If we get that kind of movement, I'm going to have to give all advantage bulls at that point. So mark this stuff in your charts, and we'll see you again next week.